Hello and welcome to the Best and Worst Pictures podcast. I'm your host, Jake, and with me, as always, my good co-host, Ian. And joining us, as per usual, to other... he's a co-host. Mud, how you doing?
Jake.
What is this show, you might ask?
You fucking asshole.
Every other week, we sit down and watch a Best Picture winner and determine one of the best or worst pictures as compared to the other winners. And this week, we're talking about the 26th Best Picture winner ever, which is, of course, the hit film... From Here to Eternity.
Not at Eternity's Gate, which I will apologize for calling it later.
And to start us off, Mud has collected some fun facts, which Ian and I have not heard ahead of time. So, Mud, take it away.
Thanks, Jake. So, From Here to Eternity was released on August 5th, 1953, and it was released by Columbia Pictures. It currently boasts a 7.6 out of 10 IMDb, 90% Rotten Tomato critics, 84% Rotten Tomato audience, and 85% Metacritic.
The good. That's
pretty good.
Yeah, better than last time where it was like, here's a low score, and we're like, ooh.
Yep. The director is Alfred Zinnemann, who directed A Man for All Seasons and High Noon, which you guys remember from last episode was The Upset.
Yeah, that's Blacklisted Man.
Well, I think it was the writer.
Oh, okay, writer. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yep.
His early career started in Germany alongside Billy Wilder, who directed The Lost Weekend.
We love Billy Wilder.
So they got their start around the same time.
Yeah. Also, I don't know if you're going to mention it, but A Man for All Seasons also won.
Did it?
Yeah, in 1966.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, pretty cool.
I just wrote it down because a lot of people talk about that film. I didn't realize it won.
Yeah. Didn't Billy Wilder also make The Apartment?
Yes.
This man has 3 wins.
No. Different guy.
Different guy?
He worked with Billy Wilder.
Thank you.
They started around the same time was the fun fact.
That's fun. Okay.
Yep. So the film stars a couple actors, including Burt Lancaster, who's known for Run Deep, Run Silent with Clark Gable.
Yeah, I actually know this name. So.
Yep. He's also in Field of Dreams.
Hey.
That might be why you know him.
Yep.
We've also got Montgomery Clift,
What a
one
name.
of my favorite names.
Yeah.
I love the
sick
name
name.
Montgomery.
Montgomery.
It's a dope-ass name.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
He's also known for the film The Misfits. Some of the other directors he worked with include a list of, but not limited to, William Wyler, Alfred Hitchcock, and John Huston.
Oh, we love all 3 of those people.
Yep. He's considered one of Hollywood's first method actors.
Ooh, I like that. We're going to have to judge that because we know a lot about the method acting of now, obviously.
Yeah.
So.
And finally, Frank Sinatra.
Ooh.
The Frank Sinatra.
Yeah.
Known for Ocean's
in...
11 and The Manchurian Candidate, Frank Sinatra.
Yeah.
Is Frank Sinatra Frank Sinatra?
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yep.
There's a lot of musicians and actors, like Bing Crosby, for example, ended up not like crossing jobs, I guess.
Kind of blurring the line.
A lot of musicians in this time period also just starred in movies.
A lot of musicians then, a lot of musicians now.
Yeah, Zendaya.
Rihanna, Taylor Swift. You know?
Rihanna,
The Weeknd.
Take that out of there.
Rihanna did. She's in 2 movies. 3
Battleship.
movies. She's in 3 movies.
Yeah, and how many of them are good?
I've heard okay things about Ocean's 8. Some fun facts. George Reeves makes an uncredited appearance in this film. Superman.
Yeah.
This is the second best picture he's in.
Superman, serial Superman, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Not father
Not
of Christopher
Christopher
Reeve's
Reeves.
Superman.
Yep.
Yeah. William Holden, who won the Academy Award for Best Actor this year for Stalag 17, spoilers for the award section, felt that either Lancaster or Clift should have won. They were both nominated, neither won.
No way. Imagine being like, yeah, I'm a loser. I shouldn't have won this.
Sinatra also would later comment that he thought his performance of heroin addict Frankie Machine in The Man with the Golden Arm, prequel to The Man with the Golden Gun,
I knew we were going to make the joke, and I still
was
laughed.
more deserving of an Oscar than his role as Maggio in this film.
That's cool.
Furthermore, Sinatra's acceptance speech was only 2 words, thank you, due to the strict cutoff broadcast time that the show was under.
Yeah, unlike now, where it's 40 hours of Questlove playing games.
From Here to Eternity won 8 Oscars this year, which
That's
matches
good.
Gone with the Wind's record.
Cool.
And the writing awards this year were presented by famous man Kirk Douglas.
He predates movies.
No, he doesn't.
He predates AMC.
He does pretty AMC, that's true.
AMC theaters, yes, he does.
Kirk Douglas predates 1917, the fucking...
Stop talking.
The year 1917.
And according to an old Hollywood legend, the mob was responsible for getting Sinatra's part in the film. This myth would later be the basis of a subplot in the film The Godfather, which we're watching.
Yes, we do have to watch 2 of them, right?
Woo, the good ones.
Yep. So, let's get to the awards. Best Director went to Zinnemann, who
Nice.
beat Wyler and Wilder. So William Wyler and Billy Wilder.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
We need some name diversity. Frank, get back here.
Frank Sinatra took home Best Support, as I mentioned.
Frank.
Donna Reed took home Best Supporting Actress. Daniel Taradash took home Best Screenplay. Burnett Guffey took home Best Cinematography, Black and White. William Lyon took home Best Film Editing. And John P. Lividary took home Best Sound Recording. Some nominations include Montgomery Clift and Burt Lancaster, as I mentioned, for Best Actor. They lost to William Holden.
Yep.
Deborah Kerr lost Best Actress to Audrey Hepburn
Oh, that
for
makes
her
sense.
performance in Roman Holiday, which was Wyler's film.
Yep.
So that's the film he got nominated for Best Director for. Side tangent, I love Audrey Hepburn
I know.
to death.
I know.
I am a tad obsessed. And finally, Jean-Louise lost Best Costume Design, Black and White, to Roman Holiday, which is Wyler's film.
Yep.
And the person who brought home that award was Edith Head.
We love Edith Head.
She's the Vera West of the 50s.
Yeah, she's the very west of the Best Picture.
Did you mention that Frank Sinatra won?
Yes, I did.
Yep.
Okay.
I went over all the awards.
I've
8
heard,
out of 11?
Mhm.
That's really good.
so I've heard that his acting sucks, which is really interesting.
Even he said he didn't deserve it.
Right. So I wonder how good or not good it'll be.
We'll find out.
Well, Frank has one of the best voices ever. So that's an
It
interesting...
doesn't make it.
No, I know. But Bing Crosby was pretty good.
Yeah.
And he also has a really nice voice.
So to round it out, the film beat Roman Holiday, as mentioned before, The Robe, Julius Caesar, and Shane, that film that keeps coming up in the movie Logan.
Yeah.
But
no,
also
you're right.
famous Western, Shane.
The Julius Caesar movie, I'm pretty sure I've seen. I don't remember enjoying myself watching it. I think it's just kind of boring.
And finally, y'all know what time it is.
Our Mary Pickford fact.
Let's go.
Yep. In 1955, she published her memoirs titled Sunshine and Shadows. This was her third venture into writing about herself after her 1934 book, Why Not Try God? An essay on spirituality and personal growth, and My Rendezvous of Life in 1935, an essay on death and her belief in the afterlife.
Yeah.
She also published a novel that same year, which is not about her, The Demi-Widow.
So, why not God? Sounds like a terrible title.
Why
for a
not
book.
try God?
Why not try God? That's terrible.
That's so funny.
And I've got some other things that I will be saving for after we view the film because they are spoilers about the
I
film's
absolutely
plot.
love when we have side stuff.
Yeah.
Last week's side stuff was this movie sucks, which you could have said before because we knew.
I didn't wanna surprise you guys. I've got some side stuff about it. It's similar to Rebecca, how I have some side stuff about how the adaptation changes things.
Cool. Okay.
And we'll talk about the context because I don't want to let you guys know that there was a change. I want you guys to absorb the scene and go, that was great or that was terrible,
Yeah.
and then I can go, well, here's how it originally
It's like
happened.
watching I'm Thinking of Ending Things and then having to look up the fucking ending because you're confused and just found out it changed.
All right, so with that, let's watch From Here to Eternity.
So we just watched From Here to Eternity. How are we feeling?
Bad.
Yo, I'm feeling checked out.
That was a bad one.
I love
I'm really sad.
doing the thing where I say, how are we feeling when I know the answer to the question? Because it's all just for the audience. But, oh my God, the audience, you can't even stand. The whole movie, we slowly, lulled ourselves to sleep.
I actually thought I was going to fall asleep at one point. This movie is so boring.
You said mic check before we are going to start recording the second half, and I was like, no, I'm laying down, Chief. I can't even, handle a mic check right now.
Yeah, we had to take a second to wake ourselves up after the film
I'm-
finished, and it is 5 p.m. right now, and
Yeah,
I am ready to go to bed.
If you ever need, if you ever have trouble sleeping, just, this is better
Put
than
on this movie.
Xanax. This is better.
So, Mud, can I ask what's the thing that changed?
Oh, let's talk about the things that changed.
Yeah, I want to get into that before we share our in-depth thoughts.
Thank you for reminding me. Just
You're
give me
welcome.
a second to pull this out.
Of course.
All right, so of course this film involves the army very heavily. In fact, they actually filmed on the real life base, the Schofield base.
That's cool.
Yep, and they actually got military footage of Pearl Harbor to use in the film, like we were talking about.
Yep.
So naturally, the army wanted to change a few things in
Yeah.
the script.
Was it the thing that you talked about?
What was the thing I talked about?
The flattening houses and shit?
No.
Okay, good. We'll talk about that then.
Yeah. The biggest thing I noted was that in the book, Captain Holmes actually receives his promotion. Yeah.
Okay.
The guy who was bullying everyone.
Yeah.
The army changed that because that gave them a
Bad
bad
light.
rep.
Yep.
Director Zinnemann later complained that the scene where Holmes is reprimanded was, quote, the worst moment in the film, resembling a recruiting shot, and it made him sick every time he saw it.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's weird that the army would say that scene would paint them in a bad light when the army is not painted in a very good light in this movie.
No, not
So-
really.
No, but they reprimand him, so it's okay.
Yeah.
Not really, though. Like, if you do the entirety of the film as the army being bad, and then right at the end go, oh, yeah, we'll reprimand him like once.
Oh, don't worry, I'm not done.
Oh, good.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Judson, Fatso, his systemic abuse of prisoners was way, way more detailed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Whereas in the film, a lot of what happens to Maggio happens off screen.
Yes.
Because a lot of this film happens off screen.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yup.
Maggio actually survives in the novel.
Oh, good.
Yeah, he was amalgamated with some other characters who died.
Oh.
There was also a lot of homosexual undertones with a lot of the army men because it's the army.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, guys being dudes.
Guys
Just
being
dudes
dudes.
being bros. Touch
All
my butt.
cut out. My personal favorite two changes were Lorene.
Yep.
So you know how I said, wow, this place, like, they're prostitutes, right?
They were,
She is.
Yeah.
In the novel, she's explicitly a prostitute.
of course.
Yep.
But you can't show that.
You can't have that. That's illegal. No upstanding armyman would ever fall in love with a prostitute.
Yep, never happened once.
Yep.
Never.
And Karen,
Yeah.
her involuntary hysterectomy in the movie is contributed to a miscarriage to make her a tragic figure. In the book, it is because Holmes gave her gonorrhea.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah.
It's really funny that they would change
Wow.
it like that.
So those are all of the major differences that were noted.
This is still Hays Code time, right?
Yep. That was another thing that also bogged down the film a little bit. Yeah. So those are the major changes. No real story beats changed, but a lot of characterization changed.
Well, the characterization sucks, so it doesn't matter.
So there are three main characters, and each of them has a holistically individual plot.
Mm-hmm.
So there's Maggio, there's Warden,
Yep.
and there's Pruitt.
Yeah, Robert E. Lee himself.
Robert E. Lee Pruitt. Oh man, the pride they take in that name in this film.
Yep.
That's not even the worst part. Each of them has their own plot in this film, and unlike other films where it's been an ensemble cast, like Best Years of Our Lives,
I was about to say, the one with Homer.
Best Years of Our Lives.
So,
Actually, it's kind of similar to that, where each plot just kind of gets shuffled in and out and are not interwoven
And
into
you know
each
what?
other.
Mud, I don't like that one. They did it better in that one.
They did it better. So let's start with Pruitt. Pruitt falls in love with a hooker who's not a hooker. She's a hostess at a renowned gentleman's club. Definitely not a whore at a brothel.
Yep.
All they do is argue.
Oh,
There
yeah.
is not a single scene. I paid close attention to this. There is not a single scene in this film where they are not bickering.
Yep. Every single one.
Every single one. And if they're not outwardly fighting, they're very tense with each other.
Yep.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
It doesn't portray it as a relationship. It portrays it as just this like toxic back and forth.
And you know what? Like, every single scene, argue, argue, argue. Here's a key to my home. I was like, what
Like the
fuck?
relationship progresses forward simply because the plot mandates it does.
Yeah.
But at no point am I even convinced they like each other.
No, it seems like she's just, when they're in the club, it seems like she's just like, oh my god, sure, fine, whatever. So,
Yep.
like, why? Why does the plot progress like this? I think it's because they're a man and a woman on screen.
This might be the worst case of man and a woman on screen.
It happens not once, but twice.
Because like I genuinely can't think of a moment in this film where they're not arguing. Like I can't think of a single moment of dialogue where they seem to enjoy each other. Out the gate they have issues. He introduces himself to her. It's a little meet cute. It's fine. It's like maybe a minute, but like it's just the establishment. You know, you've just
Yeah.
met each other. Then he wanders off to save Maggio.
Again.
And then he turns around and some other guy's talking to her, and he immediately storms over like there's going to be a problem. And he's like, I thought you said you'd wait. Holy fucking
This is
shit.
my job. I'm a whore. Let me suck
I'm
some.
a hostess.
Yeah.
Ian.
Sorry,
She's not a
sorry.
prostitute.
I'm a
That's-
prostitute.
Yeah, she's a prostitute. It's just, it is insanity that
Yeah.
they go anywhere at all. Like, you think she'd like report him to her boss and be like, yeah, this guy's harassing me, but you know, I'm guessing that probably wasn't a thing back in the day because that was kind of her job, was
Well,
to get
it's
harassed.
also she's also supposed to be a prostitute, and like that's
Suck
kind of
him
the
off.
thing,
Yeah, you're right.
you know.
Yep.
But-
The movie definitely pretends that it's about the three main guys, but really all the juicy stuff
Bless you.
happens with Burt Lancaster's character.
Burt Lancaster's character is the only one with an arc.
And it sucks.
And it sucks. Yeah, you're right.
I mean, Pruitt's story does get more interesting as the film goes on, but it starts out really slow and
It doesn't
non-engaging.
get saved by the end either, in my opinion.
Pruitt has two stories. That's the real kicker.
Yeah, it's him
Like-
and Alma, and then him and DiMaggio. And one of the biggest problems is there's not enough Maggio in the entire film, and we'll get to that. I want to talk about each plot separately, so we'll talk about
Yeah.
that plot not
I think
being
the best
in the
way
film.
to talk about this film is how it's presented.
Yeah.
Very rigidly separating the plots.
Yeah,
so that
it's-
we are
thank
not
you.
we are not able to interweave them.
Yeah, it's really really bad.
It was too bright.
I can't even describe, because Pruitt's plot, him and Alma don't matter because all they do is argue, so you're not interested in that. And then him and Maggio don't spend enough time on screen with each other
To justify
to
anything.
justify. He pointed at Eternity's
He
Gate.
wrote as the movie's title.
Yeah, but
Uh,
like, it's I don't like Pruitt's plotline at all, because I think like the acting in this movie is actually pretty strong. I'm not gonna lie. I think Pruitt does a really good job. I actually think Sinatra does a really good job. His character just kind of sucks.
He does.
I liked Burt
I
Lancaster's
think Burt
character,
Lancaster is great.
Yeah.
especially in the end.
Yeah, but there's just not anything for them to work with.
Can I talk about Sinatra for a bit?
Absolutely.
Yeah, we can talk about that plot line. Do you guys have any more things to talk about for Pruitt? Because I do want to talk about that.
Oh,
but
we
I
can
would like
transition to talk about Pruitt and DiMaggio.
Okay.
But
kind
for-
of all set with Pruitt right now. But as far as Sinatra's character goes, is Sinatra DiMaggio, by the way? I
Yes,
mixed
yes,
him up.
he is.
Okay, so Sinatra's character, I really do. You're right. He is great acting, great performance, great
Yeah,
stuff
he doesn't
like that.
do bad. I
doesn't
wouldn't
do
say like
bad.
fantastic, but he's
no,
good.
not fantastic at all, but definitely really strong. But the reason why I can't really get myself invested is because he's barely in the movie.
Yeah, he's only in like 25, 30 minutes.
Less. I would argue like maybe less than 20. He shows up in like 4, maybe 5 scenes, each for like a couple minutes. And that's it. Like he's barely in the thing. And yeah, he
Yeah.
has some good one-liners. Yeah, he has some good, really heartfelt moments toward the end. But other than that, he's barely in it. And like he won the Oscar for barely anything. And like, no, he did great. I mean, I got to be clear about that. He really did a good job. But come on, out of all the people that were probably nominated that year, like how much screen time did they fill?
Both Montgomery and Burt were nominated for Best Actor and lost.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like Maggio's plotline is simply to push Pruitt's plotline in a different
he's
direction.
a support character.
Yeah.
He seems like a plot device more than a character.
He really
Right.
does, especially towards the end, where the resolution to his arc is his issues with Fatso, the sergeant at arms.
Yeah.
It's established very well. You know, they have that fight in the bar, which Maggio instigates. He's the one who starts this conflict.
Yep.
But Fatso's the one who kind of keeps egging it on.
Yeah.
And then, you know, finally Maggio ends up in the stockade for insubordination. And, you know, he's like, oh, I'm going to enjoy this. And then we cut, like, half hour later. That's another thing in this film. Every single plot goes on break for at least 30 minutes.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's really bad.
Yeah.
We cut to half hour later, and Pruitt and Warden are just sitting in the street, and then suddenly Maggio appears, beat to shit, and he's like, oh yeah, Fatso beat the shit out of me. Then I jumped off a truck and escaped. I think I broke something. And then he just dies.
Yep.
Mhm.
He literally just fucking dies.
Yeah, it's really not good.
They don't show any of that. It's all off screen.
It's fucking amazing, honestly. Like, he literally falls over and I'm like, he's dead. And then in the movie they went, he's dead. And I was like,
I have
what
that
the
written down. I just have he's dead
Yeah.
written down.
Like, are you shitting me? Come on, this is worse than what film was it? You Can't Take It With You, where that guy stumbles into the meeting, tells the CEO man that he's a bad CEO man, walks out, and then his secretary calls and is like, that man you just talked to died.
Yep.
Same
Same-
exact fucking
Same
levels of
energy right there.
Yeah.
Same
But
energy.
I'd say it's worse in this film because Maggio's a main character.
Not
Mhm.
just a
Okay,
one-off
maybe
guy.
not a main character, but he's more important to the
He's
plot.
like 2B. You have like 1A, I would argue, is Burt Lancaster's character, and then like 2A, 2B.
And the pacing is not excusable because there are still all kinds of really, really long, slow sequences where everybody has like a sing and a dance and a monologue about their life's problems.
So I wrote down a note towards the start of the movie. I love movies that are about things I don't care about that can make me care about them.
Right.
You don't
This
care
movie-
about Pearl Harbor?
Great example. I didn't give a fuck about Lighthouse Keeping, but The Lighthouse is one of the best movies of all time.
That movie's not really about Lighthouse. But I mean more in the sense of like, okay, like a Nomadland, another Best Picture winner. I don't give a shit about Midwest America. Are you fucking kidding me? I don't
That's
want to
fair.
go near that hellscape. Made me super invested in it. Dead Poet Society. I hate poetry. That shit slaps.
It does fucking slap.
You know, this film, I thought, oh, cool, it's going to be a film about military sports teams. I'm vaguely aware that those exist. No. Okay, maybe it's about military life. No. It's not about anything. And the stuff that it is about is boring.
And sucks because it's poorly written and poorly acted in some parts and just
You know,
not good.
So I don't know that much about military life. I haven't
Yeah.
been in the army before. So maybe this can teach me something about it. No, absolutely not. There's nothing here, you know. And it's not even like a good, like gritty, like Full Metal Jacket or Apocalypse Now or even Patton, which we're watching for this. Like, you know,
Platoon 2.
and Platoon, that grungy, like in the stink kind of
Mm-hmm.
war movie. This is squeaky clean. They are
Yeah.
at the base the entire time, which I don't think is like something that could really be to the film's detriment every time. I'm not saying you need to take the platoon and put them in the jungle for them to be interesting.
No.
I feel like Full Metal Jacket, that film, half of it's about basic training, and that's the interesting part of the film.
That is the
Yeah.
best part of that movie.
I like the second half too, don't get me wrong, but like the first half in basic with Pyle slaps.
I got reminded of Full Metal Jacket watching this. I kept thinking like, wow, this is not as good of a scene as Full Metal Jacket. Like almost every scene.
Yeah.
Can I say what this movie reminded me of?
Yeah.
And you guys are going to laugh. MASH.
MASH.
I don't see it, but I
It's
I
the
understand.
sports team, boxing, football, on the military base, boring as shit. The only thing that it doesn't do is the comedy.
Yeah, like MASH is supposed to be like a parody,
Yeah.
quote unquote, of military life. This is supposed to be like they're playing
Yeah.
it straight here.
Yeah, and
Yep.
they're playing it straight. And in lieu of comedy at all, they have sultry dialogue like the Star Wars prequels. The whole time, every single plot line is full of like,
Oh yeah, I noted the dialogue in this
And
film's
I'm so
terrible.
in love with you.
yeah, what kind of quotes you got written down? What you got?
I didn't write any down. I just
How
wrote
dare
that the
you.
dialogue's awful. I'm not gonna
Damn.
take time to write down notes that are just quotes. I write down notes that are relevant talking points.
Moving away from Frank Sinatra's character, similar to how the movie did every 3 minutes,
Got him.
I think Lancaster's stuff takes up most of the movie. It's not good, don't get me wrong, but like, because all they do is argue too. Like they're so in love, and then he's like, "Well, wait a minute, you fuck men," and she's like, "My husband, blah blah blah, didn't care for baby, and then baby died," and he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry," and then the next scene starts with them doing that, and then they argue again, and then it's happy. Like, there's not one consistent emotion
I
in this
feel
film.
like there's random just swaps of emotions in scenes, and,
Yeah.
like random escalations of events. Like, it's bad. But to build on the Lancaster thing for a second, this is a criticism I actually have so far of almost every 50s Best Picture winner, is that you can have a film that has bad people in it and make it interesting. All About Eve. Everyone in that cast is kind of a piece of shit.
Yep.
Yeah.
But that's what makes it interesting. Every film we have watched since then has had people who are pieces of shit as the main characters, but it hasn't been good. An American in Paris, The Greatest Show on Earth, and now this. All three of them, their main characters are bad people.
Was Charlton Heston's character, was Brad really a bad person?
Okay, maybe Brad in particular, but like most of his surrounding cast, like Sebastian
Sebastian
and
was
his
an asshole.
girlfriend
Yep.
and the psychopath who almost crushed that girl with his elephant.
Yeah, Sebastian's girlfriend was an ass.
They're all shitty people.
Okay.
They're
But
all
Brad,
shitty.
I wouldn't say Brad's a bad person. He just really likes the circus.
Brad's just a hard ass.
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
the thing.
Yep.
But my point is, All About Eve, everyone in that cast is a piece of shit.
Yeah.
In American in Paris, there's a lot of pieces of shit in that cast.
A lot of cheating, a lot of
Yeah,
yeah.
This film, lots of cheating. To build on what you were saying again, when Lancaster gets mad at this girl. This woman is married to his boss.
Yeah.
And then he gets mad at her because he's not the first affair she's had? Are you fucking kidding me, dude?
This movie is like high-key sexist and low-key racist. And
It's
it pissed me
pretty
off a
fucking
lot.
bad.
Yeah.
It's pretty bad. Like, he's like, you've been sleeping around with other men. I'm like,
You're
dude,
other men.
you are other men. You are the side dick.
Yeah.
Like, I know that, like, it's an unhappy marriage, but you really cannot falter here.
Oh my God. What do you mean
you-
you're cheating on with other people too?
You seduced her. You
Yeah.
went over to her house with the expressed intent of having sex with her. It's shown explicitly, not
Yeah.
the sex, but the lead up to it
Yep.
in the film. That's the setup.
Yeah.
And none of these plots ever, at any point, overlap with one another. There's no moment where, like, Lancaster's problem and Pruitt's problems become problems together.
That's
Yeah.
why, like,
It's all
sitcom.
separate.
Not to bring sitcoms into this.
Well,
talk,
we are
but,
talking
like,
about MASH.
We are talking about MASH.
Sorry.
That's why, like, sitcoms will have an A plot and a B plot, and usually about halfway through the episode, they start to like the main characters from each realize each other's plots and help them with each other's plot, and that's usually how.
That's
it progresses.
every episode of 2.5 Men is what you just
Right,
described.
exactly. That's how sitcoms usually work. So the reason why they do that is because that formula works, and when you have them all divorced, like, I don't know, seasons 1 through 6 of Game of Thrones. I mean, yeah, you can tell great stories, sure, but they're not really relevant to each other, so it doesn't feel like the same show sometimes. And this definitely feels like that. Until the end, elephant in the room, we're not getting there yet, but the end is the end of the movie.
Oh my God.
We'll get there.
More importantly, though, like in sitcoms, though, another reason they do that is to just kind of make sure that you don't have 7 characters dealing with one problem.
Yeah.
Always Sunny does that in a different way, where they split the cast in half, and usually they don't really run into each other until the end of the episode. You know,
Yeah.
you'll have like Mac and Dennis hunting cricket in the streets of Philadelphia, while Charlie and Dee are trying to come to terms with the fact that Frank's turned them into cannibals, and that just won't interact. That's an actual episode.
Or fucking Mac and Dennis are doing meet cutes in their fucking apartment, and
Yeah.
they get the weird couple whose kid just died, and fucking Charlie and Frank are doing a meet cute in their apartment, calling it a meet cube, and they get some weird Ukrainian people, and then hot girls that they get to have sex with, but they like the Ukrainian people more.
Yeah. My
Also a
point is-
real episode.
My point is, I really want to watch Always Sunny.
Yeah.
My second point is that this film falls into the latter, where it's just like rigid plots that are not allowed to interact with one another. And it reminds me of Best Years of Our Lives. But the difference is, in Best Years of Our Lives, everyone in that plot, everyone in that story, for the most part, was a likable character.
Mhm.
Like, Homer's really likable. Al was pretty nice. The other dude, whose name I've forgotten because it's been a minute, he was pretty cool too. No one in that plot was like, hey, I'm cheating on my boss's wife.
I'm cheating on my boss's
I'm
wife.
cheating.
Yeah.
I'm helping my
I know what
boss's
you mean. I
wife
know what you
cheat.
mean. Yeah.
You know, or like, man, I'm a belligerent asshole to my prostitute girlfriend.
Or the captain, who's the worst character in the movie, just being a dick to everybody
Yeah.
all the time
And
and not being good at acting.
oh yeah, he's pretty bad, and it's just painful because then you're
Yeah.
just stuck there listening to like one dude be a piece of shit for 30 minutes, and then it cuts to another dude being a piece of shit for 30 minutes, and then it cuts back to the first dude being a piece of shit for 30 minutes. There's a 30-minute gap. We checked. It is almost exactly 30 minutes where Lancaster's cheating plot dips from the movie and then returns.
Yeah. And between those 30 minutes, Pruitt's plot drops for 30 minutes so we can focus on Lancaster's plot. And then 30 minutes later, and we get back to Lancaster's plot. This movie is just a segment of movies.
Yep, absolutely.
It's two
It's annoying.
half-baked movies.
It's
pressed
so
together.
annoying. Every single time, I hate complaining about this because I feel like a broken record. But a lot of these movies feel like 2 movies that they were like, put them into one. It's not long enough. This isn't boring enough. Put 2 boring movies in 1 boring movie. Like, I can't begin to describe how bad the dialogue was in this movie.
I wrote a note. This is the most 1950s dialogue I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it's just the most tame shit.
Yep.
It's really boring. And
It's
like
sultry.
you made a movie about like the lead up to Pearl Harbor, boring as shit.
I lost my fucking mind towards the end of the film. So, doing research for this film, I discovered the film ends with a climactic Pearl Harbor attack.
Yep.
These two did not realize it, and I realized after we stopped recording the intro, I was like, man, I gave no indication that this film's going to end with Pearl Harbor. And the film starts, Hawaii, 1941, and I looked over at you guys, and you guys were just like writing down notes, and I was like, okay, they don't know what's up.
Yep.
Later on in the film, this dude's taking a phone call, and he leans up against a wall. December 6th is displayed on the wall, and I looked over at you guys, and you guys were taking notes, and I was like, you guys don't know what's up. Finally, like 2 seconds
the street
Two
post.
seconds before it happens, there's a street post sign that says Pearl Harbor, and you guys started chuckling. You were like, oh, Pearl Harbor, I get it. And then Ian went, what if the movie ends like that? And I lost my fucking mind.
I look. So what actually went down because Mud doesn't know what was in my brain. I looked at the sign and went, Pearl Harbor, and then out loud I went, Pearl Harbor again, because I realized like that's when it pieced together for me. Not the fact that we were in Hawaii in World War II, because I forgot we were in World War II. Not the fact that it said December 6th on the wall. Like I was paying attention, but like, you know, it's a date. And I went, oh, Pearl Harbor. And then I went, Pearl Harbor.
So I didn't get it just then, but after you said Pearl Harbor, this like Pearl Harbor, the longing in the distance type, Mud burst into laughter, and I was like, oh my God. In my head, I was like, this is not ending with Pearl Harbor right now. And then Mud was like, yes, it is.
It is, dude. I was waiting for. I was kind of hoping you guys wouldn't figure it out, so it would just happen.
I want to give the movie
We
credit.
got damn close.
I want to give the movie credit. The Pearl Harbor stuff's really interesting.
It is.
And
Actual
well shot
footage. Yeah.
and real footage from Pearl Harbor, and the stuff in the movie that is shot for the movie around that footage is actually really good, really interesting.
This
Like,
movie, yeah.
I think the end is really strong, and it's a shame that like the rest of the movie before that is almost a zero.
I think a lot of the times that Pearl Harbor is put on film, there's this weird need to like reimagine it as like, oh well, if we had just had half a second to get in fighting stance, we would. No, they fucking got us. You know, like
We got sucker punched.
Pearl Harbor by Michael Bay, Midway, all these films have like this like recontextualized like, oh, we were gonna get planes, you know, we were so close to winning that. No, we weren't.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a lot of films like just can't bring themselves to admit the absolute fucking
Well, Mud, that's not patriotic enough.
sucker punch that we received that day.
Yeah.
I feel like this film did it well, where you see the guys try to mount a meager defense. They're not like running to their planes to hop in and take off. No, they're jumping on the roof with their machine guns and figuring, well, they're going to fly low to bomb us, and planes are pretty fragile, and I have an M42, so
Let's try.
before I get sawn in half by these anti-material rounds, I'm going to shoot at him.
This movie does have a little bit of that weird blind patriotism factor as well, though.
I'm a soldier.
I'm a soldier.
He says it.
He does say it. One of the things that Pruitt says, so I'm going to give context to the whole scene. The girls come home, Alma and Alma's roommate come home, and they talk about how a house and a convenience store got flattened, which was not the case in real life because they literally only attacked military bases and beach, correct?
Some civilians did get caught in the crossfire, but they never went out. Some films sometimes show it like them going out of the way to like bomb civilian positions.
Yeah.
I'll call this one a gray area.
Okay. And then he starts putting on his boots and his fur and whatever, and he's like, oh, who do they think they're fighting? This is the best army in the world. This movie does have a little bit of that like weird patriotism, almost propaganda feel to it.
It's weird because it's the 50s.
It's also weird because there's no point where America won in this film. They don't show Hiroshima or any of that shit.
Imagine if the film just ends with a nuclear blast.
Oh, you mean like Pearl Harbor, the film? No, yeah. It's not, because like after he says that, like, oh, this is the best army ever, it's not like they go out and they actually win the war
best
back.
part is after he says that, he goes back to the base and gets shot.
Right! That's what I'm saying. Like,
hey,
the movie...
they got him, best army.
Right, so the movie definitely, like, they're not portraying America in like this amazing light. And plus, they kind of shit on the military over the course of the movie, too, which I mentioned
they
earlier.
shit on the military, but it's very...
But they still have a squeaky clean ending where like all the bad guys get their comeuppance, and yeah, sure, fucking Pruitt dies, but like at the end of the day, Judson gets stabbed in an alley and the captain gets fired. It's not like it's not like Apocalypse Now or Catch-22 or even Platoon or Patton. Where,
Right.
you know, the shittiness continues because war is hell.
Right, exactly.
We
And,
never get that scene where like the heroes realize, oh man, this dickbag sergeant's going to continue to be a dickbag sergeant.
Right,
Yeah.
or like the pinnacle of films from 1979 about this kind of stuff. Kramer versus Kramer, that one Best Picture.
We're gonna talk about that
We will
during that
actually
year
talk
because
about that.
after that movie, I've never seen it, so I'm not going to judge it preemptively. Of
I've
course.
seen Kramer vs. Kramer. It bumps, but Apocalypse Now is better.
That's heavy competition. Apocalypse Now is very close to my top 10 list. It
But
slaps.
The point is,
I want to get back to this.
It's got this. I just want to finish with. It's got that squeaky clean 50s ending.
Yeah.
Where like everything needs to be on the up and up because nothing bad ever happens, kids.
I
Every
think it's the
fairy
Hays.
tale
I
has
think
good
it's a
ending.
mix of the Hays Code and the Army. Oh God, what's the word? Controlling the narrative of.
I mean,
parts
they
of the
did
script.
change
Yeah.
that in the book. The captain gets a promotion because nobody actually cares.
Yeah.
I want to talk a lot about the ending because I haven't mentioned it at all. But this movie does kick into high gear after the attack on Pearl Harbor. Absolutely, Burt Lancaster's character is the best, and the reason why I submit to you is because there's a scene prior to the ending. It's the barroom scene. It's actually the only really awesome scene before the ending.
Oh, where Maggio and
yeah,
Fatso.
they're
almost fight.
about to get in a fight, and I love the way that Burt Lancaster's character, Warden, I keep calling him Burt Lancaster, Warden, diffused the situation because it really paints him as a strong but smart character.
Yeah,
who-
he even says earlier in the film, "I'm smart."
and yeah, well, like, he also has like the physical strength to back that up. So he's very rarely like a mix of the two.
Yeah.
And usually movies portray it as like one or the other. And he's like very clearly like the kind of archetypal hero in that sense. And then bring that into the end sequence when the Japanese people are bombing Pearl Harbor. Who's out on the front lines yelling orders at people, even though he, isn't really technically... Is he a sergeant at that point?
He is the sergeant.
Okay,
He's
so
been the sergeant the
He's
whole
the
film.
sergeant the whole time, but the captain is who's in charge.
The captain wasn't there.
Right. Okay. So he's
Yeah.
recently promoted. Yep. And so he's the one on the front lines barking orders at people. He's the one kind of marking the initiative to get the ammo after that guy was like, "We're not getting the ammo yet. I have orders. You're not getting this ammo." And then the freaking plane comes on and he's like, "All right, I'll give you a medal for it." And then all the guys just swarm him. He's the guy on the front lines trying to do that. And then at the end, when Pruitt dies, or rather he finds Pruitt dead, another scene that should have been on screen or whatever. But when
Pruitt
he-
gets shot on screen.
No, but he should have found him on. He should have. I understand where you're coming from. He rolls up afterwards and it's like, yeah, but they don't show him rolling up and like his initial reaction.
Okay.
my point is
They
they
don't
could've
show
used
his like initial
I
reaction
thought you were
to the
saying
body.
Pruitt just keels over off screen. I was like, I get
Yeah,
shot.
you could have used more from that, but in any case, when he shows up and he's remembering him as a friend, he leans in close and he's like,
You fucking idiot.
you had to be a hothead or whatever, and then he stands back up after having that like solemn moment, and then switches right back to, "What are you guys waiting around for? Chinese New Year? Give me pictures of Spider-Man. I'm JJ freaking Sean Jameson." No, he's like, "Get this
Amazing.
body out of
That's
here," or
exactly
whatever.
what he said.
Yeah, exactly.
What are
I'm
you
quoting
waiting
him
for, China?
verbatim.
And then they cover it up.
Yep, and they cover up. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Which isn't exactly like I know they want to frame it as like a heroic sacrifice, but like he got shot in the back by his own men.
it's not a
know,
heroic
it's
sacrifice. You're
kind
right.
of a dumb. And I think they were more being like, let's not make this dude seem like a dumbass, and
Right.
army incompetent because we
Yeah.
just got our shit kicked in.
And a lot of that is freaking Warden, who I'm not calling Burt Lancaster's character this time. Warden trying to save face with his friend, and there's a lot of
Give him some honor and death.
Some
Yeah.
honor and death, and that to me, Burt Lancaster's
There's-
character is so powerful in that sense, and
There-
I think he's like the standout from this movie.
There are exactly 3 good scenes, and you just named all of them.
Yeah, basically.
And they serve the Warden character through all the way to the end,
Yeah.
and I really appreciate that.
Who also doesn't have much resolve with his character,
Yep.
because then the wife just leaves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh yeah. This is not a good. I'm not giving it a positive score, but
No.
But there are a lot of elements,
Yeah.
a handful of elements that I really do appreciate.
No, there is the good things. I think the acting is, for the most part, strong. Burt Lancaster's character is really good. The lighting in this movie is actually really nice. Like,
The imagery in this film and the cinematography is crisp.
yeah, there's some bad cuts and bad edits, but there's one really, really good shot towards the beginning where it's right when Milton, I believe his name's Milton Warden, gets he finally starts fucking the wife. And it's right after they drink the wine and right when they share their first kiss, it zooms out through the window. The shot's
Yes.
really good.
That was a really good shot.
But there's like some of the music's really overbearing in some of the scenes, like the weird
Yes.
love music.
You're right.
But they play this movie has like an astounding amount of music that I've heard in SpongeBob.
Yeah,
because
there's
it's set in Hawaii.
and they use
And they use the Hawaiian themed
but like
music.
also SpongeBob uses a lot of free stock music.
Yeah, sea shanties and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's how they skimped out on a music budget.
Dude, it's so funny because like a scene will be going on. I'm like, I heard this in SpongeBob. It makes me laugh every time.
That ass, dude.
It's unintentionally funny, and I'm not saying that to the movie's detriment or anything. It really fits the theme, like the theming of where the area is. At least they're not playing Christmas music before the Christmas music was invented. Annoyance meter.
Annoyance meter.
So like, good on them. But like, the script is just bad. It needed a lot of pass, and it's like they wrote a movie and went, all right, make it. It's like, sir, don't you want to look at the dialogue? It's kind of, nope, make it. Like, it's just, it lacks on a whole nother level when you come to talk and think about film.
If
Like-
I can add to that,
Yeah, go for
and
it.
also circle back to Pruitt, who we haven't talked about in a while, because that's how this film works.
Yeah, no, 30 minutes into the review, we have to talk about Pruitt again.
So, the boxing subplot, which is the first subplot we are introduced to.
Yeah.
Pruitt is a boxer, and he's very good at it, but he doesn't want to box anymore because he accidentally blinded his friend in a fight.
Yes.
Punched him straight in the fucking head, put him in a coma, came out of the coma, can't see no more. Pruitt can also play the bugle, and he wants to be the bugle player for this branch. Captain Holmes wants Pruitt to join the boxing group for this military base so they can compete in intermilitary boxing matches and win the championship, which will get him a promotion, apparently.
He thinks it will.
He thinks it will. And to do so, he just bullies the shit out of Pruitt. Pruitt always says no and then just keeps getting bullied. And it goes nowhere the entire time. And at first you think it's going to be that he's getting everyone on the base on his side to like get the captain like expunged or something, because like there's one point where we have a montage of him getting in the shit, and then one guy stands up for him and is like, no, you're being rude.
It was Maggio.
And then both of them had to run drills together. And then later on, when he does actually start boxing, over an hour into the film, when he does actually box that guy, everyone comes to his side. He's like, no, that other guy started the fight. Don't punish Pruitt. He didn't do anything wrong. And then the captain goes, oh, well, he's an uncommissioned officer, so everyone go back to work. And then it cuts to like two guys on a balcony who I think are supposed to be like higher ups who are thinking about giving the captain a promotion, but like it's barely explained, so who cares? And it never goes anywhere the entire time that the film's going on. And like Pruitt never opens up to anyone about his like
he only
upsetness.
opens up to Alma.
Yeah. And like I'm not saying that, like, if he had explained himself, the captain would have been like, oh, I'm so sorry for putting you under this pressure. He absolutely wouldn't have. But, like, maybe he could have gotten a couple of the other soldiers in his barracks.
They
on his
knew.
side.
They talked about it during the fight. Oh, he blinded the guy by accident one time.
Yeah, but they
said
make him
it.
seem like a hard ass. It would be more interesting if, like, they first thought he was, like, a cool guy because of it, and then they talked to him, and he's like, oh, no, that was my friend, and I crippled him. I feel so awful. And they're like, oh, shit, maybe we are being assholes to you. And, like, he slowly turned. No, none of that. None of that.
No, that would require plot.
And then it just gets dropped because the captain just gets fired. And it's over. And then at the end of the film,
Pearl Harbor.
after that, Lancaster's character, Warden, finds Pruitt's body and says something to the effects of, this wouldn't have happened if you had just boxed. Which, no, because the reason that they shoot Pruitt is because he was AWOL, because he stabbed Judson, because Judson tortured Maggio to death, which had nothing to do with whether or not Pruitt was boxing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. What? I was so... Are you not pissed about that? I was furious. I'm like, that doesn't make any fucking sense.
I'm trying to think about... Because Maggio was friends with Pruitt. He wouldn't have been in the shit. He would have... They would have been able to go out properly more. And the movie would have been a lot more different. So, like, maybe? But,
no.
like, no.
No, because Maggio and Judson's fights happen entirely organically away from Pruitt's shit. Maggio and Pruitt were going out. The only reason that Maggio had to stay behind and then was AWOL and fought the MPs is because he just happened to be the last guy leaving the barracks and then got told he was on guard duty and said, fuck that noise, I'm going out drinking.
Yeah.
has absolutely nothing to do
Yeah.
with whether or not Pruitt was boxing. And that pissed me the hell off because that was the moment where you can tie all of the plots together and they just don't.
Yeah.
And like, Warden's not a good guy either because he's always just like, oh, you should just box. You should just do it. You should just do it. He never
Yeah.
tries to empathize or sympathize with Pruitt. He's
But
just
I feel
telling
like
him
they
you're a
at least
fucking idiot.
had something between them that was good.
They at least liked each other,
Yeah.
but like, there's no scene where like they actually like become friends.
Yeah,
They
no.
tolerate each other.
Yeah.
Because
does
they don't
feel more
spend
like
any
that.
fucking time together.
No one in this movie spends any time together other than the main cast because it's just a bunch of collections of side plots.
Yep.
Script bad.
So script bad. It won. It won for script.
I
The
thought
50s
since-
have sucked.
I thought since this movie won 8 awards and got nominated for 11, I like normally the ones that get nominated a lot, or at least a little bit better. Like I might not love them, but at least they're like mids or something.
My system of detecting bad ones failed me. I really thought this was going to be a good one. I was
I
reading
did
about
too.
it. I'm like, oh man, all these acting nominations, story nominations,
Yeah.
90% Rotten Tomato. We got a bop on our hands, boys. And then we watched it. I'm like, wow, that's
Because when you were
terrible.
reading all that stuff off, like one of the things that I always look at, listen about for, is when you start talking about what it gets nominated for, what it doesn't, and then like you'll talk about reasons and little intricacies and details, and you were like, boom, 8 wins, 11 nominations. I'm like, all right, normally the big nomination ones are at least a semblance of good.
And the technical stuff can give hints. Hey, this film won for best writing, and then we watch in the dialogue shit. It's like, hold on.
Maybe movies weren't written back then. Think about that, Mud. Think about writing. Writing. Maybe there was a writer's strike.
Shut the fuck up, Ian.
Like I'm not trying to excuse anything, because I just wanted to watch a good movie, and I think most of what it won for failed for me. Like the acting wins, I can see them because like the acting in this movie is actually pretty decent,
It
except the
only
captain.
won 2, I think.
Yeah, but like the captain sucks. But like Sinatra does a good job. Lancaster does a good job. Guy
Clift.
who is DeWitt does a
Clift.
really good job. Montgomery Clift. Right. He had the coolest name and I forgot.
It was so
Like-
cool you forgot it.
And I didn't Karen win Best Actress? Or is she not nominated?
Yeah.
Okay. So like yeah, like they do a good job. But like the script is really bad and it won writing and
Yeah,
some of the editing is kind of
And one editing, yeah.
It won
I made some
editing.
notes. There's some bad edits. In
There's
this
some
film.
really good cinematography, but some of the editing sucks. And
Mhm.
that's like not okay. And this won Best Score, didn't it?
Mm-hmm.
What's the original score in this movie sucks.
Yeah, the score is used really strangely throughout some scenes.
The score, I don't like the score. What I like is the random songs that play in the movie when they're like out at the clubs, because that's like random background noise because it's SpongeBob
It's
music.
diegetic too.
Yeah, it's just like there. The score, the like OST, if you will,
The original
blows.
soundtrack.
Yeah.
It's below.
that's OST.
I know.
like-
I was clarifying for the audience.
Thank you. Sorry. I was just like, yeah, that it sucks. So like I hate when we look at these things and you're like, oh good, I'm waiting for all this good stuff. It's this, and this, and it won for all these things. And I always like to figure out why this one won. And you want to know why this one won? Pearl Harbor. America.
It beat
Great
Shane
job.
Yep. And the
and
ending
Julius
is
Caesar.
the ending is pretty cool too.
Okay, Julius Caesar, a movie I think I have seen, is not that interesting personally, but like it's better than this.
Yeah. So I think we have finally reached eternity. Oh,
They don't
even
say
it in the movie. It never comes up. The title never
Is that
comes
the name
up.
of the book?
No, it
It
was.
was.
Yes, but the title's name from the book came from a poem somewhere else.
Okay.
For fuck's sake.
Because all the people are damned from here to eternity was the original quote from the poem that
Never
the book
said in
was
the film.
titled after.
Nope, that's so fucking stupid.
It's like of mice is men. He doesn't say, "Hey Lenny, we feel like of mice and men today."
George, I want to tend the rabbits.
I want a best laid plans of mice and men. Yeah, no, out of 10, I want to go first simply because I know I have the highest score. 3. I think Burt Lancaster's scenes as Warden are really strong, and that builds to a really strong finale. And not all this movie sucks. And the Pearl Harbor sequence at the end is really powerful. Everything else is bad.
2. It was a 1, and then it picked up a bit at the end. I'm like, okay, cool. And the Burt Lancaster stuff is actually interesting. I think his plot line sucks with the girl, but his plot line on the base isn't that bad. His interactions with the captain and his like wanting to defy him because of he knows the person he is actually kind of interesting. And I feel like there is stuff there, but no. Like the movie's just not it. Like most of the stuff they tried to do just doesn't land. And a lot of it's about love and romance, and to be quite honest, it's the worst part.
I'm gonna match your score of 2. This movie's death by 1,000 cuts. There's no one scene that sinks it, but it was never afloat to begin with.
Yep,
That's true.
I agree.
Yeah.
And that scene at the end sure does help, but that's all it does.
But like it feels like they didn't have an ending in mind.
Aside from that, yeah.
So they were like, and then the Japanese attack.
Yeah, because it's not really related to anything going on.
Honestly,
They don't talk about the war ever.
No,
So
they-
the fact that the war comes out at the end.
Technically, we weren't at war yet. But I get what you mean. Like, at the very beginning, it says 1941, and then there's one shot of a dude leaning up against a wall that says December 6th. Other than that, you could be convinced that this is just a military base during peacetime.
Mud, one of the things that really, really pisses me off about this movie is that World War II is happening during this, and there's no mention of it until the end. Like, I know that we weren't actively at war yet,
But, like, it was
but it was a hot button issue. World War II. Like, the whole world was talking about
And,
this.
like, at the
There's
same
no
time,
inkling
there
of,
was
do you
also-
think we're going to get there? Do you think we're going to have to fight? There's
Yeah.
none of that.
Nothing.
Yes.
Yeah?
I think it was a dog or something.
Probably
I don't
the
know.
dog.
Yeah, there's no indication of, like,
Not even
any
crumb.
tensity.
Yeah. This movie lacks the
So much.
entire emotion of the war. They're not scared. They're not nervous.
They're not anything.
They're not anything.
You could be
Most
convinced
of
that
the
this
base
is just
is-
a base.
it feels like there's no surrounding stake or anything until the end. And the end is interesting because it actually brings in some tension and stakes, but it doesn't. There's no setup for it. And I understand that it was a sucker punch, but like it's not a sucker punch that World War II was happening. We knew that. Talk about it. You're on a military base. You could be in World War II in any moment. You're not nervous. You're not scared. You're not thinking about it. You're just going out having drinks and
Fucking
boxing.
around. Yeah.
Come on. Anything?
Nothing.
Nothing.
All right.
And they don't talk about Germany at all. They're
Or
like,
Japan.
or Japan at all. Or Italy to a lesser
Or
extent.
England.
at
Or
That's
all.
anything.
because
Or
they
France.
wanted to fool Ian and I about.
They wanted to fool.
to
This
fool-
film came out in the 50s.
They wanted to fool us to come out now and go, wow, it is about Pearl Harbor. Holy shit! At the end.
Yeah, the thing is, Mud, maybe I wasn't putting it together because the movie did a piss poor fucking job setting up atmosphere.
Yeah.
All right, that's enough of that. I don't want to talk about this movie.
The
anymore.
best one's The Lost Weekend, and the worst one's Hamlet.
The best one's The Lost Weekend. The worst one's Cavalcade.
Best one's Gentleman's Agreement. The worst one is The Greatest Show on Earth.
We're almost all different now.
We're
We're
getting
so
there.
close. I'm excited.
I'm excited for next time, though, because it is On the Waterfront with Marlon Brando, boys.
Yes.
He is in Apocalypse Now.
Yes, he
He
is.
is an apocalypse.
I'm excited.
Sorry,
for
I had to say it because we talked about it
I
earlier.
am jonesing for this one.
I'm so
Marlon
excited.
Brando again. We're going through this phase where we're watching some of like the best actors ever, like canonically in
Canonically.
in the history of acting. Like some of the OGs. Like we got some Clark Gable. We got some Charlton Heston is one of the pioneers. Gregory Peck. Like Burt Lancaster. I've heard his name so many times, and I've just never seen anything with him.
Mm-hmm.
So like the fact that we're getting into Marlon Brando territory too.
Yep.
We're going to start hitting the Laurence Olivier. He sucked, but he was fine, but his movie sucked. Fuck you, Lawrence, for directing Hamlet. So we're getting through all these legends. We're gonna get Jack Lemmon again soon. Like
Jack Nicholson.
soon
One
as
Flew
well.
Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Yeah, one soon, very soon.
I'm so
we're
excited.
going to be getting to a lot of things really soon. I'm really excited to see younger Brando because in Apocalypse Now he's
He's very old.
older. You know, I'm pumped.